My name is Gerald Reitter. Before I get started here, I'd like to share a little bit about my life and how I got into this whole thing. I lived and studied and resided in temples overseas and had many great teachers. Many teachers interpreted scrolls for me in temples overseas that I lived at for many years, and fine-tuned my mind to the point where I was able to understand what the whole thing was all about that I was studying at these temples. Now, I got a chance to study ancient scrolls pertaining to nutrition, increasing one's lifespan, and maintaining youth, as well as other scrolls that went back thousands of years and much longer than that had to do with expanding one's consciousness to the point where one would understand what was going on in nature in all these galaxies throughout our local universe. Now, I came across a book through the years called The Divine Plan by Jeffrey Barbarka. And I found this book is a very profound book with the most profound of all teachings that went hand in hand with the scrolls and books that I got a chance to study overseas. Now, the purpose of studying these books and scrolls is to expand one's consciousness to the point where one has a panoramic view of what's taking place throughout the universe. In many of these books, it talks about a manventura, or an age. It's a Sanskrit word. It means an age. There's different kinds of ages throughout the universe. There's 850,000 year cycles. There's million-year cycles. There's different age cycles throughout creation. There's cycles where the galaxies densify and take on a lower vibration, and everything that's on those particular planets, on those galaxies, densifies and vibrates at a lower frequency range. And after so many kalpas, or ages, the densification level starts to come out of the density into a more etheric or subtle type of energy. Many people believe that 2012 might be the beginning of coming out of the low densification level that our solar system is experiencing at the present time. But at the same time, we're all noticing a lot of different earthquakes and floods and tsunamis, and these so-called tragedies that are affecting many people in different areas very negatively, regretfully negatively, are movements in the galaxies that are causing rearrangements of our local universe in order to upgrade the vibrations to come out of the density level that we're all experiencing at the present time. Now, it just so happens that in nature, things take long periods of time. We may not like it. Sometimes I don't like it. Sometimes I wish things would happen in 10 or 15 minutes. Surely not any more than an hour. But it just so happens that it doesn't work that way. That it often takes eons of time for things to change. I seek a position to teach this information and to share it. It is one of the highest priorities that finite beings on any finite world throughout our universe would need to incorporate into their conscious being. It has a lot to do with easing one's mind in order to show and share with everyone that the universe does have a plan. Even though things seem chaotic, especially when you turn on your local news. Behind all these things, behind all these tragedies, behind all these occurrences, there is a divine plan unfolding. But like I said before, it's not something that we can have happen in 15 or 20 minutes, or even an hour. I wish it was different. Because in our minds, everything is happening instantaneously. In our minds, we're multimillionaires. In our minds, we're perfectly built. In our minds, we have everything that we want. But in reality, it's not working as fast as it is in our own particular mind, or even in our dreams at night. So having this information consciously gives one a panoramic view of what's taking place in our local universe, because what's taking place here is what's taking place across the physical universe. Many galaxies are going, all the galaxies are going through all these different changes and through this divine plan. These teachings are very high teachings. They're teachings that have a lot to do with cheering one up, lifting one's spirit up. Why? Because it's giving one a panoramic view of what's taking place behind the scenes. It doesn't seem like it is happening because it's taking so long for it to happen. But nevertheless, it is happening. How do we know it's happening? These beings that once lived in a race called the race of Dizan on this earth eons ago supplied the information and the missing keys for interpreting all the philosophy and all the ways of thought on this world and all other worlds on all other galaxies. These are surely the highest teachings in order to explain what's happening through the different root races that made their appearance not only in this world, but many other worlds. It supplies the information of how the spirit manifested itself throughout the universe and took on different life forms in different parts of the universe. It talks about eternal laws that are spread throughout the universe. Let me share something with you. It's a little bit intellectual, but I'll try to go as slow as possible and make it easy as possible. Subservient to eternal law, the pure gods could only project out of themselves shadowy men, a little less ethereal and spiritual, less divine and perfect than themselves, shadows still. The first humanity, therefore, was a pale copy of its progenitors, to material, even in its ethereality, to be a hierarchy of gods, too spiritual and pure to be men, endowed as it was with every negative naguna, which is, I don't have the thing what naguna means here. I have to let you know what I think. Perfection. Naguna means perfection. Perfection, to be fully such, must be born out of imperfection. The incorruptible must grow out of the corruptible, having the later as its vehicle and basis in contrast. Hence, the necessity for evolving through the human kingdom, culminating in the attainment of godhood. The technical term for shadows is Sharias. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Hence, the first race is called the Chaya race. A commentary upon the stanzas of Dizan, in the form of a catechism, expressed the mystical language what occurred to bring into being the first race of humanity. It is from the material worlds that descend they who fashion physical man at the new manventura, or the new age. They are inferior law spirits, not law, but LHA, spirits possessed of a dual nature, and astral within an ethereal form. They are the fashioners and the creators of our body of illusion, meaning the physical body, which is not a total illusion. The phrase from the material worlds that descend, they who fashion physical man, has reference to the pitras, or the spirits, who have come from a more material chain of globes than the earth chain. That is the lunar chain. However, as they had completed their evolution on the lunar chain, they had attained status of gods and were entitled to the designation of lords of the moon and their airy bodies. Now here, we're going to skip a paragraph here, and I'll give you something else that will whet your appetite a little bit here. The lords of the moon are termed inferior laws, LHAS, in order to make a comparison between a lunar pitras, which means the moon spirits, and the solar spirits, the moon and the sun. The later being called gods of will descend from the superior spheres. Laws is the Tibetan word equivalent to pitras. The word laws is the word pitras, which means spirits. The form rupa is termed a body of illusion in that it was first an ethereal vehicle, becoming physicalized and impermanent, subject to constant change and modification. Also, as a sloka, or a verse, expresses it, given the commanding words of the great Lord of the shining face, addressed to the Lord of the earth, "Thy people shall be under the rule of the fathers. Thy men shall be mortals." Okay, here's another good one. The moon is an inferior body to the earth, even to say nothing else, other planets, even to say nothing of the other planets. The terrestrial men produced by her sons, the lunar men or ancestors from her shell or body, cannot be immortal. They cannot hope to become real, self-conscious, and intelligent men unless they are finished, so to say, by other creators. The finishing refers to the work of the gods of will from superior spheres, in other higher planes of existence. The Manasapachutras, or again the sons of mind, or the solar spirits. This, however, did not occur until the third root race. Into the forms projected by the law, or the pitras, or spirits, the two letters descended from the spheres of expectation, but they are like a roof with no walls nor pillars to rest upon. One more here. The two letters signify the monad, called the double dragon. In the esoteric system, the seven principles in man are represented by 7 letters. The first 2 are more sacred than the 4th letters of the tetragrammaton. I seek a major position teaching this great tome of wisdom.